Hello, and welcome to another fun-filled week in Florida. We're still here. We've been here for several months now as we've got to experience manatees, hot springs, monkeys, and most importantly, we've got to experience the process of turning an ERV into a spaceship. Last week I intended on getting this thing primed, but I was a very irresponsible tourist and got a severe sunburn, and it really slowed down my progress. This week, I intend on catching up with that and finishing up the interior space of this thing. Let's see what we can do this week, y'all. So the things that need to be done before we can actually start painting this thing are all the finish work. So yesterday, I built this latch, and I've utilized these magnets here to hold this couch in place. This morning I've come in and I've put more magnets here under this toilet seat, so in case you hit any bumps or anything, you don't have the toilet seat slamming back here. I've also been working on taking off one of these fold out tables because it has a support leg, and I've had a very utilitarian solution this whole time, which was this exact piece of plywood was the length that needed to be. And today I went through the effort of finalizing an artistic leg, so it doesn't look ugly. Let's make this thing pretty, y'all. You know what that is?
What's that, Shane?
It's a latch, Kelsey.
Of course, what else?
What else? This morning I've went ahead and taken out what I've been calling the table. Currently it's just a really big piece of plywood that I've been hanging in the locality of a table. Today, it's another thing that needs to be finalized. A lot happened yesterday. The best part is, as soon as I get done with all this, I take it all apart again. Let's hope that's today. Let's see what we can get done, y'all. Now, this whole project has been an adventure of first for me. First time making a spaceship, first time making a bed come from the ceiling, a first, But because of that, I've ordered a lot of hardware that I've never used before. And with doing that, there is a little bit of trial and error, making sure you're installing it properly. So part of taking this table down is cleaning up the corners and making it actually look like a table. But it's also, I'm going to be taking this hardware off and filling in all these screw holes. And I'll be doing that pretty much everywhere, because the process of taking the screws in and out, making sure all the hinges are in the right place, causes the holes to get a little loose. And, that can be detrimental to a door staying stationary while you drive down a bumpy road. Just another one of the many hundreds of things I have to pay attention to before I could say goodbye to this thing. Let's make this table pretty. So because I'm using plywood to make a tabletop, I really desire to get rid of the seam at the end where you can see all the plies that are glued together. And the only way to do that outside of trimming with wood, which adds a lot of weight and thickness, and it's a hard way of going about things. I'm going to be utilizing some of this. Now this is thin wood stripping, and it has adhesive on the back of it. So you see this a lot in cabinetry. This is how they end the faces to make it look like one block of wood. It's not a block of wood, it's a piece of plywood. But I'll be utilizing this handy dandy little iron. And basically that gets hot. You take this, you hold it against your location and adhere it with the heat. Let's see how this goes. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie. That went on way better than I thought it would. That was almost therapeutic. I've seen this type of stuff in the past, and you had to use a liquid glue, and it was a nightmare to use, so I've never tried it. But these little heat-activated strips are just thebomb.com. Hello. You scared me.
What you doing in there, babe?
Jamming out. Still filling in the ugly, Kelsey. It's all gotta be smooth. Come here and look. I've been working down here covering up ugly plywood blowout, as well as, you know, making sure none of this stuff falls apart. Glue is still very important, as well as making everything pretty. Well, as you'll know, we're in Florida, so I diligently have to pay attention to the weather down here. And it appears we may have some rain coming tomorrow, so I do have to prepare and not have this thing completely torn apart painting it when rain hits. I'm still continuing to move around getting ready for that paint. This is our wood filler that's drying here. As soon as it dries, I'll sand that area as well. In between doing the wood filling, this table is getting prettier and prettier. I was able to get the correct latch for this as well. So this one is a tension latch. So basically, it's putting tension when you push down, and that's going to keep this thing from rattling loose, versus this style doesn't quite do that. It's just a straight latch, and it has a hole so you could put a pin through it if you like. Latches make a difference. There's some other interesting ones being used to hold this table up too. Now my next problem to solve is the fact that this lift bed operates off of this giant electric motor. And the deal is, each corner has a rotating knob. When you turn one, it cranks all of them. There's a chain that runs through this U shape, and there's a chain that runs through this U shape. This rod here spins both sides simultaneously, which causes this, which represents the bottom of the bed, or which will be slightly higher. Either way, it represents the bed, and it moves up and down. But we have to hide this ugly motor because I don't want to look at it, and I assume the owner doesn't want to either. So let's make it pretty. Well, the adventure of my removable cover for that motor up there has come to a stop because it's dark and I can't really see inside. We'll get some more done tomorrow, but for tonight, that's all. Saga of my tiny corner box continues. This box is also going to be housing an outlet for 110 volt purposes up in the ceiling. So no space is wasted with me, as y'all know. I can't just build something to cover something. It's got to have a functionality. What's the point of building it? Let's build some more today, y'all. Kelsey asked me this morning if we were gonna paint today. Let's see. This piece needs to be the end of our ceiling shape here. Guess I don't really want to look at that big, ugly seam up there. We need to cover that up as well. Well, my pile of very intricate wood things is growing. I'm starting to tear it all apart, but unfortunately I really can't see in here, so it's kind of hard to sand and not sand too deep without seeing what I'm doing. I think I'm gonna have to call it a day and continue tearing this thing apart tomorrow. Oh, look, a critter friend. This one's cool. A pretty frog. You guessed it. I'm not touching that either. So let me turn off that light switch, mister. Good night. Well, last night I left off making a mess. Today, me and this sander are gonna become great friends. Let's see if we can make a difference. Well, I did a little inset on the end of the cabinet there because I thought it would look cool. Maybe it's going to be a place for USB ports. We'll see. But really what I wanted to share with you is this corner. I've been staring at this corner for months, waiting on this moment, buying my time, counting the seconds. I'm finally about to make it not sharp. And I've had to wait because I needed to make sure no other trim was being added to this structure at anywhere, because it would have had to have come to this corner, and everything matters to me. This is a sign of nearing the end, my friends. The corner is being cut. Let's go.
Oh, guys, I think this is the pile of things that are ready for paint. Certainly looks that way. I like how soft everything is. That pile's getting bigger. Let's go see how he's doing over here. Hey, can you hear me?
I can. No headphones. Kelsey, I think I'm tearing it apart for the last time. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% positive.
That it's really time for paint?
It's really time for paint. I'm moving that way. Did you see the big pile over there?
I did.
All of that's ready. I still have a lot more to get out of here because the bulk of this stuff is going to be painted outside. But obviously the ceiling and the walls, they're going to stay in.
Let's turn it white, y'all.
Well, it keeps getting emptier. I still have a big pile in here. And a notable size pile out here. It always amuses me at the end of these projects, the shapes and sizes of all the components. When they're not inside, they look a bit wild. I'll keep pulling more out in the morning and hopefully get to painting it tomorrow too. Steady as she goes. Well, I'm back at the little old grind again this morning. I'm following up with the end of yesterday and my wood filling endeavors. Once again, trying to get this thing ready for paint. In order to paint this area, the lid's gonna be coming off, but mostly the shower is just gonna be tucked away. And the idea is all the removable components come out, and that's gonna allow us to cover everything with primer first. Let's keep moving. We've almost got this thing empty. Every little detail matters. Down to making sure I get all the glue out of the cracks. That type of stuff is what can make a job look really ugly really fast. Yet again, another weird little dude. Watch this. Alright, it's time to catch up. This is all the panels I have to put components on. They are relatively full. And as I've been placing things and walking around them, I'm getting dirt and leaves on my newly sanded items, and I'm not very happy with that. Not to mention, I still have a mountain of stuff over here as well. So, we need a solution. This is the shipping crate that the lift bed was mailed in. And I'm going to utilize some PVC pipe and screw them in so that they make a bed frame in essence. And that way I'm going to be able to sit components on top of this and paint, because mixed with the dirt and the sand coming up and the wind that comes and goes in this region from varying different directions. Sometimes it comes from there, from here, from here. I feel like this is probably going to be our safest bet. Only having to do this once is to make a paint booth in essence. This will allow my spray gun to be able to get under edges based off of where I sit it on these racks. And what I'm utilizing is all the E-track that I've had in a big pile right next to this conversion, because I pulled it out months ago because it was originally installed on the walls. There's always a reason for hanging on the garbage, right? Unfortunately, it's time to clean all this up so it doesn't get wet this evening. We'll do some more tomorrow. Look at that, Florida's showing out again. Go figure. Another beautiful day. I have continued the process of moving everything out of here so I can paint it. Let's keep going, y'all.
Oh well, y'all, that's paint. We're finally here. Don't spray me.
It doesn't spray unless you pull the trigger. Isn't this cool? This is a HVLP, so high velocity, low pressure sprayer. Basically, it's a giant blower, like a vacuum cleaner almost. And it blows air through this, allowing me to paint all this really fast.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Spaceship vibes, baby. Even the paint gun. Fortunately, this primer dries really fast. With the addition of this spray gun blowing a huge amount of air with it, it seems to be almost drying rather instantly, which is allowing me to process all of these components rather rapidly. Time to move on to my second set. Still nowhere near done. Kelsey, are you taking up plumbing?
Not exactly. I decided to raid Jerry's trash pile and see if I could make some jewelry out of it. That's what I've made so far.
One man's trash, huh? Oh, those are fancy. Well, I won't lie. Progress has been made. If I would have painted this many wood components by hand, I would have been half done. I'm still not completely done with all of my painting by any means, but I am done with sunlight for today, so here we shall have to rest. Fortunately, it's not going to rain tonight, so I'm going to leave these half-painted pieces out and continue on in the morning. We've reached the end of the day, the end of the daylight, the end of the paint, the end of the week, but not the end of the job. I have quite the collection of very interesting shapes, all beautifully primed, but I obviously have not applied any primer inside of the vehicle, and I'm out. Now, I only bought a certain amount when I was at the store last because I didn't know exactly how much I was going to need, but I knew that would be enough to get started, but it's certainly not enough to finish. I do suggest you come back next week because I'm not going to tell you what colors I'm buying, but I promise this thing is going to be intense.